Hey there, welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa. Thank you so much for being available today. I'm a little bit later than I usually am because I had an amazing coffee this morning with one of my longtime mentors, Chris Daniel. We talked about so much good information and ways that I can share new things with you guys, and it was just an incredible power coffee hour this morning. So I'm sorry for being a little late tuning in, but I really wanted to get to you guys today and talk to you about something that came up from one of my friend followers this morning that really could affect all of you, and I want you to understand this. So I know that a lot of you know that I own and operate a title company and have for a very long time, and you have no idea what a title company does or what that part of that process is all about. And that's why I try to talk to you about the different respects with pieces about real estate and mortgages and home buying and closing and all the different things that go into the experience, because we coordinate a lot of those things and see a lot of that happening. And so last night I had a conversation with somebody that is a friend and a person that is buying, I'm not sure, first home, I think so, actually buying a piece of land and building a first time home. And they had some questions for me that this is something that doesn't necessarily come up in every scenario, but it can, and maybe it doesn't come up, and maybe it's something that affects you later that we need to talk about. So if you guys are watching live, please click and say hey, check in, let me know that you're on. If you're watching on the replay, I really appreciate your time as well. And I'd like to try to come to you guys a couple times a week and talk to you about things that affect you owning a piece of property, selling a piece of property, buying a piece of property, or your new home, and how you're affected by a lot of these processes. So thanks so much for taking your time. So what I'm talking about today is what happens when you go to buy a piece of property and you find out that the people that own the property now, that maybe there was several different people that own that piece of property, and when they took ownership of that property, the previous owners, not all of them signed off on the documentation transferring the ownership. So what does that mean? So let's say, for example, that you have a piece of property that the previous owners, there was 10 different owners, but only 7 of them signed off their ownership on that property. Hey there, Cheryl, how are you? Thanks so much for taking your time to tune in. So only 7 people signed off the ownership. So now you have 3 people who have not signed their ownership interests to the new owner. Well, what does that mean? Maybe they're dead. Well, if they're dead, then they still have family and friends that may, family and children, parents, grandparents, grandchildren, that may own their interest. There's still an ownership interest out there, even if they passed away, depending on how they owned that property with the other 7 people. But either way, their interest has to be identified, and you have to get notification about what happened with their interest. Otherwise, someone in that family may still have an ownership interest in that property. So you're buying a piece of property that 3 people in the previous ownership didn't sign off their interest, and if they didn't sign off their interest, then somebody in their family could come back and claim that interest from you. What does that mean to you? Well, let's say you're buying a piece of property and you're going to clear it and build a house on it. The property, maybe the value of the property is $50,000, and you're going to build a house that is several $100,000. The owners or their heirs who may have that ownership interest that didn't sign off on it certainly have the right to come back and make a claim against their portion of that ownership. Now the question is, how much ownership interest could they have, and would they really have any after all of this time? Maybe it's been 60 years ago. Well, how does that affect that ownership? Well, they still have ownership. Their ownership interest doesn't go away. It just may transfer to someone else, and you need to know who that ownership interest may be transferred to. And maybe you're thinking, well, they only owned it when they owned the lot and not the piece of property. Not the house being built on it, so it's not really that much of a value. Well, if that's the case, that may be true, but maybe because it's been so long ago, maybe there's some other claims that they have. Maybe some legal fees, maybe some insurance, who knows? Maybe some interest, who knows? But now you're going to have to fight that in a court of law. You're going to have to fight for your interest. Maybe they don't own anything, but the one thing that the protection that title insurance gives you that you will get from your title company is it protects you against having to defend your interest, not only any claim that's made for some financial reimbursement, but also to protect your interest. It's just like if you got in a car accident and it wasn't your fault. You still have medical bills. You still have to hire an attorney to protect you. You still may have court costs. Those are costs to defend yourself that you have to protect. And the insurance not always protects you. In the house situation, the title insurance not only protects you against the claim and whatever that cost would be, but it also protects you in defending your interest. And so you need to understand that the title insurance company's job, or the place you're going to closing's job, is not only to coordinate the closing and to make sure everything comes together like it's supposed to, but to make sure that the property you're taking ownership of is totally going to be in your ownership, and that you will own 100% of that property, and that no one else can make a claim or has an ownership interest in that property, and that you will be protected if you ever had to defend that interest. So in the particular scenario I'm talking about, it may be that you only have to defend that interest, and maybe there is no interest there, but the insurance will cover you against that. And then also the title company will try to make sure that one of two things happen. Either the current owners all are located and sign off, or it goes through a court process which actually will take care of the title issue so that you never have to defend that again. But these are some of the other things that a title company provides besides just the closing process. So they make sure that the title to the property or the ownership chain to the property you're buying is clear, but they also make sure that you have the ability to get the insurance to protect you. And that's what I talk about when I talk about defending your home ownership or protecting your home ownership. That's what title insurance does, and that's what title companies do, is they not only handle your closing, but they protect your home ownership. So hopefully I gave you a little thought about something new. If it spurred some other questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. Also, please hit the share button and share with the people that you know, because they may need to know this information as well. Somebody you know may be buying a new piece of property and may not know to ask these questions. So thanks for being patient today. As I said, I had to tune in a little bit later because I was meeting with a mentor that I really respect, and he's a very busy guy, and I was trying to gather some of his brain power over some thoughts that I had and just check in and see what's going on. That's why we all network and create these relationships, because it's the community that keeps us strong. So hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, Robbie, how are you? I really appreciate you guys being on. I look forward to helping you with information. If there's something else I can help you with, please reach out and let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.